Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger, and today I'm going to be making a video detailing what Okizeme is. I've made some videos in the past for Okizeme for Street Fighter characters and some other stuff, but I've never actually gone to the concept of what it actually is, and for some people, it's a bit of an advanced concept and they don't understand what it is in full. So I'll be describing what it is, and then more specifically how it relates to Street Fighter V. So what is Okizeme? Long story short, it's kind of just the concept of aggression against a knockdown foe. So obviously when you're knocked down, if you're the person knocked down, you've effectively lost control of your character. So the offensive character now, can kind of put them at your mercy. It is a two-way street, so the defending character is not completely out of the ballpark. They can do something to defend themselves. There's multiple aspects of this, so in Street Fighter V specifically, we have 3 different ways of getting up. We can quick rise, we can back roll, or we can just stay on the ground. Something like, say, a Tekken, there's a multitude of options getting off the ground: front rolling, side rolling, back rolling, attacking on the get up, and this, that, and the other. So, it's a two-way street, but generally it's always in the aggressor's favor. So in Street Fighter V specifically, I'd say there's 4 concepts of Okizeme. There is your manually timed attacks, also known as your meaties. There's mix-ups on wake up. There is mathematically perfect Okizeme, also known as frame kills sometimes, and technically part of the latter category, but I feel significant enough for its own mention, which is the throw loops. So I'm just going to briefly go and mention some specifics of Street Fighter V, and then we'll get into those categories. Alright, so before I go into the setups I mentioned earlier, so there's 3 concepts of being knocked down and waking up on your knockdown in Street Fighter V, and that is first, no wake up at all. You just simply get up when the game forces your action and you get up. There is the quick rise, also termed normal recovery in the game, which is you get up basically as soon as you land. And there is the back recovery, which is mostly the same concept, but you back roll out. And for those who are interested in the frames, that is 5 frames slower than the quick rise. So that's just a 1/12 of a second. I know it doesn't seem like much, but it means worlds of difference in terms of this game once you get to the higher level setups. Anyways, now without any further ado, let's go into the actual setups. Alright, so now to go over the first of these, which is the manual setups, or the meaties as they're also known as. So as simply, you knock them down, you look for the visual tell of them getting up, and you hit your button. Now this is easily the most difficult of all these options. Not because, it's obviously not hard to hit a button, but you are relying on the timing of the matter, and most moves, not all, but most moves in Street Fighter V only have 2 to 3 active frames, which means only for, those active frames, that very small window, will that move actually connect. So if we go here, wake up, okay, that's great, we did our thing. We managed to hit him as he wakes up. Right there, see, I mistimed it manually, so we missed. So what makes this dangerous is if your opponent, or you if you're on the wrong side of this, you notice they're relying on manual timing meaties, you can say, maybe I don't believe you can do it perfectly. So now all of a sudden, we're going to set you up. And now we're going to try to hit a button on wake up. So now we have Ryu set here. He's going to jab on wake up. So if I manage to get the meaty perfect, I got a counter hit, that's great. If I'm too slow, I just got jabbed out. And it doesn't have to stop at a simple jab, right? Now let's say I'm Vega, for example. He has a very simple combo: stand light kick, crouch light punch into a roll. The stand light kick, just like Ryu's standing jab, is a 3-frame move. So if your meaty timing is not perfect, we're gonna beat you out. And maybe we'll get something like fancy like that. That's obviously not, always gonna happen, but that's the challenge that can be thrown in your face if you're going for the manually timed moves. So not all moves, as we mentioned here. So here we go, botch it. That short 2 to 3 frame window for most moves, not all moves have them. Oh, we got a challenge. So for example, Vega's Crouch Fierce Punch has a lot of active frames. So it's not just a mere 2 or 3. See here, it kind of covers a long window, so we kind of easily beat things out. So now Another thing that screws up the manual timing end of things is the fact, we have 3 different wake-ups. So that was on the no recovery at all. So if we have a regular recovery, we got to contest with the fact that he's getting much quicker now. So, we can still beat it as long as your timing's perfect. But it's not necessarily a guarantee. It's very visually based. And since there's 3 different possibilities of either no get up, quick get up, or back roll, it's once again just kind of the worst option. Please have a look at your character and their moves. Find out which moves have the most active frames. Like I said, generally it's 2 or 3 for most characters, but things that are like 4 or 5 active frames, those are generally, if you have to do manual timing moves, that's generally ideal. Like Urian with his forward meaty punch is a great example, because he can kind of just walk along, wait for the get up, and that amount of active frames will cover a lot of the visual mess that you have to ascertain. I'm sorry, that you have to visually ascertain. Anyways, let's move on to the next category here. Now, next up is the mix-up. Now, before we mention the meaties you can try off any old knockdown for the most part. Sometimes, moves move them too far away, or the back row moves too far away, and then you can't do it then. But mix-ups are generally, you did something very specific, and now this is your reward. So once again, we're using Vega's example here. So Vega has the crush counter off his sweep. So crush counters, just to explain if you're not aware, so this will be a total guide here. Once you get crush countered on the sweep, you have no option other than do the slow get up. There's no quick rise possible. There is no back rise possible. It has to be the slow get up. So knowing this, you have time to get away with something. So Vega, that's the perfect example. We can do our wall dive. And off this wall dive, as we're landing on their head as they wake up, we can force a left-right mix-up and dominate which way they have to block. So it can be very visually confusing for the opponent which way they're going to land. And hell, honestly, I played a fair bit of Vega in my time. If you do it perfectly, you kind of don't know what side you're going to land on either, which is the best mix-up, because how are they going to know when you don't know? So that's just one example. So some mix-ups, like Vega, this is a left-right mix-up. Some could be a simple, overhead low, depending on the move. And we just kind of go from there. So that's our mix-ups. So we're going to go into the next section. And just once again, keep in mind, this is, depends on the character, depends on what you knock them down with. It's not going to happen off every situation. For example, off that throw, we're not going to get a left-right mix-up with the wall dive, because they're going to get way too quick and they can easily deal with it. Anyways, on to our next section. Alright, so next up is the mathematically perfect setups, also known as frame kills. So now we're going to switch over our characters here. So any setup here can be attempted, at least for most characters, try to find the mathematically perfect setup. So we have Urian here. Urian, you've seen the reversal, you can do the little shoulder afterwards, very common thing. So now, opponent's knocked down, your ball's in your court. So we have our dummy here, Nikali. He's set to do his standing 3-frame move. So if we try this, we're going to incorporate a forward dash, we jab, or something that's too slow. But we know, and I'm going to tell you, we have a mathematically perfect setup here. If you do that exact combination of moves, and then with that shoulder tagger, forward dash, and he tries to do quick rise and jab and knock you out of whatever your offense is, the standing fierce punch will beat him 1,000 times out of 1,000. It's simply the math of the situation. No way around it. Now, that's not to say it's infallible, because that's only specifically on the quick rise. So if you remember at the start here, I mentioned how that back rise, on top of moving you back, it's actually 5 frames slower. That 1/12 of a second is now going to be critical, because now our setup doesn't work. Now, that's not the end of it. So say we know they're going to back roll now. We do have another mathematically perfect setup. There's no way out if we know they're going to wake up with a button on the back roll. So once again, we beat it. However, neither of these solutions work for the other way. So if we try that forward fierce punch, which beat the back roll, it's now way too slow to deal with the stand attack. So this is what I meant earlier, as well as the defender has a say in the matter. Now, you have to realize and kind of read the player's tendencies. I'll tell you right now, at least my experience, most players, all things being equal, they'll always prefer the back roll if they feel the pressure. If there's a character where, you know, say like a Cammy or something, Cammy knocks you down, you want to get away. You're going to try the back roll. If it's going to be a knockdown only every now and then, you want to stand your ground, you're going to, you know, stand tech, stand your ground. This is a player read. No amount of math is going to save you. You're going to have to understand which players prefer to do what, and maybe sometimes they want to get goofy, like, hey, maybe they won't. You know, they'll just do the regular no wake up, and let the computer wake them up for them, in which case, you know, depending on the character, there's mathematically perfect setups for that. So now I want to kind of show the more dirty end of things, which is the true mathematically perfect setup, which no matter which of the 3 wake-ups they attempt, you have them dead to rights no matter what. So to demonstrate a true mathematically perfect frame kill setup, covering all 3 possible options, we switch to our friend Okizeme here. So these specific options are going to be, well, frankly, the most specific. For Okizeme, it can only be done off the V-skill kick into medium kick, demon flip, palm. So it's this guy right here. If you do a light kick flip or a medium kick flip, all of a sudden you're going to be adding, fierce kick flip, you're going to be adding manual or meaty timing to it, versus just mathematically perfect timing that just will always work. So right now we have Nikali set to do his standing 3-frame move, which, you know, as fast as possible normal on stand tech. We forward dash. Oh, man, I was a bit slow there. Like I said, mathematically perfect means you also have to do things usually on frame 1. So our crouch fierce punch, which is a crush counter, beat it. So we're gonna delay that. Go our back recovery, and once again, remember, back recovery is 5 frames slower. But that crouch fierce punch has so many active frames, which I mentioned before is so important, it covers even the 5 frame slower move and still beats it out with a counter hit. So we'll go here now, no recovery at all, so much slower. So as you see here, we had him set to the slowest possible wake up, and the same combo, ending in the same setup with the forward dash into crouch fierce punch. We had to obviously add some more juice to it, but all 3 setups were done by the exact same combo and to the same opening gambit, which is crouch fierce punch. And no matter what, he is mathematically unable to wake up with a button and beat Okizeme. Now, you know, this presupposes he doesn't just want to wake up DP, and guess what? You're gonna lose. So for all that, you know, he's not completely hopeless. But, you know, that's just to show you an idea. And once again, just for the specific combo, like, you know, you don't need to go into raw V-skill. You can figure out like some sort of regular combo, like this should work. And the demon flip, whatever. It's hard to do combos while you're talking. But so that's that. So obviously, this is a very powerful technique. No, very few characters can cover all 3 setups. I'll tell you that right now, and even less after Season 2 patch. So, you know, Okizeme can do it. Abigail can do it for the most part. Vega used to be able to do it in Season 1, can't do it anymore. It's up to you to figure it out. So when you're trying to find out a mathematically perfect setup, if you want to do your own research, just keep this in mind that for 1, active frames matter. A move needs at least, at minimum, 4 active frames if it's going to cover both a stand tech and a back roll to beat out a 3-frame move. And you need to look at stuff like startup frames and your recovery frames. And always keep in mind, too, that the back roll on wake up is 5 frames slower than the stand tech. Alright, so with all that said, let's go to our final section here, which is, you know, also mathematically perfect, ideal, but kind of warrants its own section, which is the throw loops. Alright, so now for the throw loops. So once again, these are kind of mathematically perfect, but they're a big deal and they can really force some hard choices for the opponent. So as always, you know, 2-way street. The opponent, you know, can simply burn a bar, try to have like an EX Dragon Punch or what have you to get out. But it's very difficult because most through loops, as the one I'm going to show you, it covers all the options. And now keep in mind too, now we're going to set this here. See, and now we have it set to the back roll. You cannot back roll throws. You can only either quick rise or stay on the ground against the throw, a back roll is not possible. So, once again, Kali, set to our 3-frame wake up here. So we're going to show it off. So he'll hit you if you're too slow. So what happens here, I did a forward dash after the throw, and you may notice this is a very common setup for any sort of Okizeme, is usually dash as part of it. And if you do so, the throw will beat the attack. Now keep in mind, this is also part of the property of the Street Fighter V system. If a throw and an attack are to connect with each other on the same frame, which is what's happening here, the throw will always prioritize over the attack. Throws always beat attacks if they hit on the same frame. So right here, if you're even a frame off, you're going to get punched. So you have to be very confident in your skills. So, you know, if you are on the defensive end of things and someone's doing a throw loop to you, and it's one of the harder, more frame intensive ones, like say Nakali's or Ed's, if you believe, you know, they might be a frame off or so, you know, don't necessarily be afraid to go for that wake up jab. Because unless they get it frame perfect, you can jab them out. So now, we're going to set ourselves to no recovery. So on no recovery, hey, you know, you're not waking up in the throw, so our throw whiffs. But this is where the mathematically perfect part comes in. So by calculating the exact number of startup frames and recovery frames we need, we can kind of come to the mathematical solution of the enemy will wake up on this frame, and then the throw will work again. And for Ed, it's the exact same setup. The dash and whiffing a throw is part of it. So see here, I did my throw, dash forward, did my next throw, which whiff, because obviously they chose to remain on the ground, whiff a standing medium kick and go for throw again. Now, they have to wake up after, you know, staying on the ground for a little bit, and doing that stand medium kick basically kind of kills the empty amount of time you're waiting. And so as they wake up, they're waking up into that next throw, which once again is mathematically perfect. So there's no way out. They still are in that exact same throw situation. And of course, you know, hit a button. I was mashing honestly, so no, I came out instead of throw. So that's kind of the throw loop setup. So every time knocked down, and for Ed, like I said, if you see that throw whiff, you just hit medium kick, go right back into the throw. They are going to have to keep on either guessing throws or, you know, maybe hitting buttons if they try to throw tech. You can get like a counter hit combo or something. That's kind of the other thread of the throw loop. And that's kind of it right there. Throw loops are absolutely devastating. Now, compared to, say, the vast ocean of Okizeme and Tekken, where there's like many, many layers, the throw loop situation Street Fighter V is honestly kind of like caveman simple. It's, in essence, to kind of diminish it, a bit of a coin flip, but it doesn't make it any less strong or any less terrifying to be on the receiving end. So that's a big part of the game. Not everyone can do it. So, you know, Ed can do it, you know, Nakali can do it. It all depends on the character. Some people, they get a setup on the throw, not necessarily a throw loop, but a setup on the throw mid-screen. Some people can only do it on the corner. Some people can only do it off a back throw or a forward throw. You know, it's all character dependent. But, you know, you gotta learn what your situations are for each character and go from there. And that's sort of Street Fighter V's Okizeme game in a very condensed nutshell. So there's plenty of things to notice, and once again I just want to go over, just for a reminder, when you throw, no back rolls possible, only quick rise, and only staying on the ground. If you want a setup that can beat both quick rise and back roll, you need a move that has at least 4 active frames, so please check. When it comes to mathematically perfect setups, for frame kills as they're also called, or even a lot of mix-up setups, usually need a very specific combo or a very specific move to set them up. And mix-up setups aren't just, you know, related to high, low, left, right. Sometimes you can do really gimmicky things like corpse hop or body hop, where you start on one side of the character and you appear on the other side when it kind of looks glitchy. Urian can do a lot of those, for example. But that's kind of, you know, the Oki game in a nutshell. So if you weren't familiar with the concept, you know, hopefully this taught you something, and maybe if you already were, hopefully maybe it taught you something about Street Fighter V's Oki game that you didn't know already. Anyways, I just want to say thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.